everyone, Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel, and welcome to Mystical Munchies featuring the official Elder Scrolls cookbook. The garlic bread last week as the side was pretty good, so this week we're on to the side, Companion's Meatball Bake. First, let's tell the story. This deceptively simple dish is a favorite among Whiterun's companions, where it is always served in a round shape to symbolize their equality with one another. They fight together, drink together, and, perhaps most importantly, feast together in the Hall of Javaskar. As the companions are proficient hunters, these meatballs might be made of whatever has been freshly caught, be it bear, venison, boar, mammoth, or what have you. As usual, the ingredients are waiting for us at the table, so let's move in that direction. In addition to the water bubbler buzzing in the background, you'll probably hear the oven preheating to 450. So what we need for this is we've got a rough two-part split. We need 1 pound of baby potatoes, 2 tablespoons of veggie oil, a pound of ground beef or other meat, I'm using ground beef in this case, half a cup of breadcrumbs, an egg, a tablespoon of sour cream, a clove of garlic minced, which I didn't pull out. I'm going to use a teaspoon of minced garlic instead, a quarter teaspoon of Stormcloak Seasoning, which is going to bring us down here in a second, a cup of boiling water, another quarter cup of sour cream, and 2 to 3 tablespoons of tomato paste. Now, in order to make the Stormcloak Seasoning, we need 2 teaspoons of dried dill, half a teaspoon of grains of paradise, a teaspoon of mustard powder, and 2 teaspoons of fennel seeds. Let's move into the kitchen and start putting this recipe together. The Stormcloak Seasoning has a story of its own, so let's tell this one. This is one of the most popular seasoning mixes across the breadth of Skyrim, where nearly every garden boasts a little corner dedicated to growing most of these ingredients. The grains of paradise are imported, and if the cost is too dear, ordinary black pepper can be substituted. It makes for a mixture that goes well with veggies, fish, meat, and savory baking. Let's go ahead and mix this up. We're going to start off. We've got our spice grinder right here. Now I've got to remember how to unscrew this. Oops. I need to get this. Actually, I think I need to pull that off. There we go. It's going to be a little bit tight, but I should be able to fit a measuring spoon in there. So first up, we need the 2 teaspoons of dried dill weed. And of course, okay, easy does it. I need like a small funnel or something in here so I can get this stuff that's supposed to go in the spice grinder in here. Or maybe I just need to find a bigger spice grinder or something. But I think that's the best we'll be able to do with that. Then we need the half teaspoon of the grains of paradise. We used this when we needed the Nord spices a couple of weeks ago when we were making the, what was the appetizer? Oh, the stewed apples and Idar cheese. Yeah. Confound it all. And of course it's such a small opening that the spices are going absolutely everywhere on me. I think that'll probably be the best I can do. Right, that's for the dill weed. Actually, I needed the 2 teaspoons again, didn't I? Yes, I do. Then we'll grab our mustard powder. Actually, I wonder, let me try something. What I'm looking for, and I just found, I think, yep. I actually do have a funnel in here which actually will sit right over top of that, hopefully not blocking too much of the spices. So let's try this out. We've got our teaspoon of mustard powder. Good thing I have at least a little bit of my mother's stubborn streak in me. She'll probably yell at me if she ever hears. Well, I tell her all the time that she's very stubborn. And of course, she proceeds to yell at me about that, thus proving my point. Anywho, last we need the 2 teaspoons of fennel seed. Alright, we can go 1 and 2 teaspoons of fennel seed. I'm going to send this teaspoon back toward the table because I will need that when we're ready for the garlic. But all of this can start going back up. There we go. All right, I'm going to try to put this together over top of the. Whoa. Now, there's a lot of stuff in here, but now we're going to crush all of that into a bowl. Which is unfortunately not going nearly as well as I hoped it would. Anyway, I'm not going to bore you guys with the grind here, plus the oven needs a little bit more time to heat up, so we're going to come back when this is done and or when the oven is heated up. So the spice grinder I was using ended up being completely worthless. The way I came up with to grind it on the fly was to take the spices out of the spice grinder, put them in a sandwich bag, and just pound on them with with my meat tenderizer. I'm probably going to look for another new spice grinder or an actual mortar and pestle set to get that. So I have a way to grind spices up. But what we're going to do is we're going to prepare the potatoes to go in the oil. So what I'm going to do, or to go in the oven. So I'm going to dump the potatoes into a big bowl. Then I'm going to take 2 tablespoons of my veggie oil. And we're going to toss the potatoes in the oil. Nice and easy. Okay. I'm going to wash my hands real quick. This way I can prepare the potatoes to go in the oven, because what we're going to do here is we're going to go with my old standby habit of anytime I bake using a baking sheet. I'm going to do this off shop, and I'm going to line my baking sheet with aluminum foil. And then I'm going to spray it down with cooking spray. This part I'm going to move over toward the sink. Okay. So that's all set to go. Is there anything fancy about... We're going to put them on the baking sheet. And then we're going to roast them. Knowing my oven, I'm going to roast these for about 20 minutes. So I'll put these in the oven. I'll set a timer for 20 minutes. And the goal with those is to roast them until they're somewhat soft but not cooked all the way through. We're not going to sit idle while the potatoes are baking though. Instead, we're going to work on the meatballs. Now we're going to start on the meatballs. To start with the meatballs, we're going to start with our pound of lean ground beef. See if we can, we'll break that up just a little bit. Actually, we're going to break it up a lot bit, ultimately. Okay. That'll give me something to work with. Then we'll take our breadcrumbs, which I've got back here. We need a half cup of these. I'm definitely getting the feeling that these are going to be like mini meatloaves when we're all done with these meatballs. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting out of here. Looking for a clip for these. Running around like a chicken with my head cut off, never a good thing. Okay, we need an egg. Which I've got my eggs right here. Preferably minus shell, which we look to have achieved. Egg down into the disposal. Let's see, we need the sour cream next. We need the tablespoon of sour cream next. Which, of course, the tablespoon goes falling on me. But here's our sour cream, along with our tablespoon. There we are. Right, a tablespoon of sour cream. That's going to be way more than a tablespoon, but we'll deal with it. Tablespoon is going to go back in the fridge until I need it again. The garlic, which I've got right here. A teaspoon of garlic. And a quarter teaspoon of the Stormcloak seasoning that we just made. And that can go back up for now. All right, and now we want to mix this up. So now I'm going to get my hands in here and start mixing everything together. Okay. Looks like we've got it all handled here. So now what we want to do is we want to start making meatballs about the size of the potatoes. That's going to be a little bit bigger than that. Oh yeah, these are definitely going to look like mini meatloaves. Okay. I'm just going to use another baking sheet so I can store them roughly out of the way. I'll wash my hands off because I'm getting ready to turn the camera off. Because what I'm going to do now, and I'm not going to leave the camera on for you guys to have to worry about this, but I'm going to work on making the rest of the meatballs. Then when the potatoes come out of the oven, I'm going to turn the heat, I'm going to pull the potatoes out of the oven and then turn the heat down to 350. So we're going to come back with that done. Apologies if it's starting to get a little bit loud. In addition to the bubbler I've got buzzing behind me, now I've got my kettle behind me boiling the water I need for the next step of the recipe. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to take my casserole dish, spray it down, because anytime I'm baking, I always spray the pan down. Then we're going to arrange the meatballs and the potatoes in here. Hopefully without burning my hand. So I'm going to bring the potatoes to the pan, not the other way around. Technically you're also supposed to cut the potatoes down, but I already cut them, not realizing I was going to have to cut them later. So we're going to go for a row of potatoes in here. Okay. Ow. Okay, we're going to have to probably spread the potatoes and the meatballs in here. Let's see what I can do with this. Okay. Got the potatoes there. Alright, I've got 2 more meatballs and 1 more potato. So let's do this. See if I can get... Okay, that'll work. Okay. Just going to rinse my hands off real quick. And then we're going to wait for the water to finish boiling. We already poured off a cup of the boiling water. So now we're going to... So in the measuring cup, we're going to take our tomato paste. I'm going to use 3 tablespoons of this. That's 1.5. And 3. Drop that in the dishwater. The rest of that can hit the garbage. 1/4 cup of the sour cream, we need that again. Put that back in the fridge. And what do we want? We definitely want to mix this up. So just it says mix it in a small bowl or measuring cup. So we'll go ahead and mix this up. Okay, now we're going to pour that in ideally until it comes most of the way up the sides of the pan, but given that I'm using a 9x13 pan, I don't expect it to come anywhere near that. Give that a little bit more of a mix up, but I think that's as much as I'm going to get out of it. So now we'll pour this in. Yeah, just like I expected. We'll drop that in the dishes. And then we'll put this in the oven for 25 to 30 minutes until the meatballs are cooked through. I'm going to put this in as usual for an extra 5 minutes. So we'll come back to that when that comes out of the oven. Timer's set, so we'll come back later. Here's our first look at the Companion's Meatball Bake. This seems like an awful lot of work for just meat and potatoes, essentially. But we're going to give it a try anyway, since it is supposed to be dinner. I'm going to plate some of this, and then I'll meet you guys over at my desk for the taste test. I've got some of the Companion's Meatball Bake over here. My initial impression is I'd probably want to use the meatballs for something like spaghetti and meatballs. Like, I'm thinking they're going to be mini meatloaves. As for the potatoes, they're potatoes, they'll be good, I'm sure. But let's take a taste and see what I think. We'll sample one of each. It's all actually pretty good. Like, I'm definitely a lot happier with the meatballs, though, than I am with the potatoes. Like I said, I think my impression of the meatballs is fairly accurate, where they're almost like mini meatloaves with the breadcrumbs mixed in there as well. As for the potatoes, they're typical potatoes. You can't really go wrong with them. But that's another episode of Mystical Munchies in the books. Next week, we'll be making the dessert, apple cobbler. A lot of great stuff coming up on the channel. I do have one of my pull-forward games ready to go. That will be later tonight, depending on how long Mystical Munchies takes to upload. Tomorrow, we'll be continuing the fall campaign in B-17 Flying Fortress Leader by DVG. Wednesday, we're playing Terra Mystica by Feuerland Spiel. Before that, though, Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final will be on Monday night. We will be at the SAP Center in San Jose, California, as the New Jersey Devils will be taking on the San Jose Sharks. Thank you for watching the video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications to get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care, everyone.